Breakfast.
Triple M's Hot Breakfast, the Chief Justice of the Family Court of Australia since December 10, 2018, and the Chief Judge of the Federal Circuit Court of Australia is a man by the name of the Honourable Will Alstreghan QC. He joins us on Triple M's Hot Breakfast this morning. Judge Alstreghan, good morning to you, sir.
Eddie and Das, good morning.
I think we might call you Will as well, mate, because you're a regular listener and a good mate of ours, and great to have you on here, Will. And thank you for reaching out to us. As I said, you're a regular listener, and Das, Will was hearing some of the calls we heard during the week, and just wanted to allay some fears on people, because obviously in family law there is probably no more situation that is fraught and wrought with drama. Well, first of all, what are you guys doing? What is your team doing to try and keep the family court open at a time when most of the courts are actually closing down?
Eddie, thanks very much. Look, we looked at the situation recently, as everybody else has had to do, and we're making sure that the courts, the Federal Circuit Court and the Family Court, are both remaining open. We're having a restricted number of face-to-face hearings of no more than an hour and a half, and I can assure you they're pretty restricted. As for the rest, we're rolling out a thing called Microsoft Teams, and we're also doing telephone mentions right across the country through 104 judges, 800 staff in 14 different locations. We're doing the best we can to keep cases moving along. Some have had to be adjourned because they're not suitable for electronic trials. Others are being heard and determined. What we're doing is we're changing the system so that people can file electronically. They can also attend court either by telephone or where we can roll them out by Microsoft Teams. They've got access to judges and actually can get decisions made. And where there's urgent cases, we're making sure all those urgent cases around Australia involving family law matters will continue to be heard. And when I say that, I mean even if we get locked down, we provide an essential service. We take it very seriously. The Australian public and the families deserve that, and we're making sure we're there for them. They are not alone.
Hey, well, it's a great message, and a lot of the calls we have been some of the most emotion-charged around going through separations and then what would happen in the event of lockdown, which we assume is coming fairly soon, and access to kids. And what's the message for parents? Are you seeing some good examples where parents are saying, okay, let's lay down some of the guns at the moment and we really need to put the kids first? Is that too simplistic, or is there a message we can give?
Das, you're absolutely right. What we really are saying to people is safety, and safety is the first thing. Whatever happens, you've got to keep the kids safe and act in their best interest. Sometimes that conflicts with people thinking they're trying to do that, but they're in fact acting in their own interest as parents. There's always a conflict there. But can I say this? There's really a really clear message, and we're seeing it happen already, which is fantastic. People have to remain calm. They have to put aside their differences. It doesn't matter what happened last year, the year before, 4 years ago. It's the future we've got to worry about, particularly in these really stressful times. And they're going to be stressful. People are coming home without jobs. They're putting in situations they're not used to. It's really difficult. From that point of view, firstly, we want them to comply with court orders. Compliance with orders are there because independently we've judged that's in the best interest of the children. But let's face it, with borders closing, with people getting sick and other things, sometimes it's impossible to actually comply with those orders. So what we ask people to do is three things: be calm, be sensible, and be reasonable. Come up with, if you possibly can, a good result. Try and say to yourself, what's the agreement? Consider the other person's problems and say, okay, how we can try and solve it. Now, if that means you have to have a few less days with a child, or you have to alter arrangements, just do it. So keep everybody safe.
And you can do things these days, Will. Sorry, mate, you keep going. Yeah. Sorry, my apologies.
No, I was going to say, and with that, if you can't do it yourself and you're having trouble doing it, but you want to do it, there are great services available online. Family Relationships Australia do an amazing job. Legal Aid are just fantastic. They're at the coalface. They do a brilliant job. And lawyers haven't gone on holiday, I can assure you. They are desperate to help people. They're desperate to assist. They can do electronic mediations. There is no reason why you can't come up with an arrangement. Now, you may not have been able to communicate with your partner for a while properly, or have a go very calmly and sensibly. And if you can come up with an agreement between you, which may be different from what the court orders are, we just ask you to respect the spirit of the court orders. So if you do that, then give each other a text or send each other an email saying, this is what I understand we've agreed to. It doesn't have to be illegal. It could be the most basic thing in the world. Because what's going to happen the next couple of weeks, as we know, is a pick-up or drop-off point may be closed. For instance, like a school. There may be there might be supervised access centres that are going to be closed. You're going to have to come up with a different opportunity. Maybe it's to get someone, a family friend or otherwise, to try and assist you. If you can do that, that's fine. Try and come up with a compromise. If you've got a border situation, this is coming up a lot. Now, people live in different states, but they still have access to their children through shared parenting arrangements. What you can do is take a copy of the order, which gives you the right to have access to this child, noting where, obviously, the exact address of where you live and where the child's going to. And when the child's being transported there, you can show the policeman and say, look, this is the order. I've got to take this child from here to there, and this is what's happening. Or if it's being varied and you've got any trouble, get hold of us. We'll make an order for you in Chambers. We can do it electronically. We can make things very clear because you should be able to facilitate access. Now, just the last thing is, if parenting arrangements have to be altered and one parent can't see the child the way they should, we should all aim at keeping things as normal as possible in these really uncertain times for children because they have a dramatic effect. So see if you can actually give your child access or at least contact with the other parent by social media, by another means, by regular telephone calls, just so they're kept happy, that the other parent's given the opportunity of at least having some contact with them and keep them informed. The most important part about this is stay calm, be reasonable, be sensible, and keep communicating if you can. Now, if in fact there is domestic violence and it's unsafe to do so, you have to take that into account, be very clear about that. If you have to notify the police, you have to come to the court, do. But there are ways and means that you are actually able to solve your own issues. And can I tell you, we're always seeing it does. We're seeing it with people that are coming to court now with variation of orders by consent. People are settling that have been battling for years because all of a sudden they say that it may not quite be as important as it was before and they can come to an arrangement. People out there are really fundamentally decent people who want to take care of their children, and they've got a great opportunity to do so.
That's a great final message. We'll appreciate that. And we'd like to flip that conversation. If you have got an example where you've been able to come to an arrangement along the lines that Will said around being fair, being balanced, we'd love to take some calls, 133353. Will, thanks for your time. We really appreciate the Chief Justice of the Family Court, Ed, with a really, really important message. Such a hotbed of emotion around that at the moment.
So, Will, just two things that I'll just underline that you said there that I think is important, and that is any change that you may make, put it on WhatsApp or a text or an email so that it is written down and you actually have written confirmation that can be used down the track if things have to be sorted out. And the relationship advice line, the family relationships advice line, you can act as a bit of a referee if need be. The number is 1800 050 321. Rosie will stick that up on all our socials. That's 1800 051 321, and there is a website to go to as well. Will, thank you very much, mate. The sound of your voice, the compassion and the understanding of what you're saying there is gratifying for so many people, but also the fact that you are the man, you're the Chief Justice in this, the strong hand of the law has to be there to guide people at the same time so that people aren't being opportunistic or using this opportunity to be terrorists against their former partners and their children and things like that. Use your sense, use your brain, don't clog up the system at the moment as far as the police are concerned if need be. But if there is any domestic violence situation, straight to Victoria Police and make sure that you don't put yourself in any harm's way. Will, thanks very much, mate, and good luck with everything you're doing.
Thanks, guys. Take care, and we're here if you need us.
Thanks very much. That's the Honourable Will Alstreghan, Chief Justice of the Family Court, Chief Judge of the Federal Circuit Court of Australia. As Dar said, get on the line now, 133353.